Hi, everybody. Welcome back to another edition of VC TV. We've got a fun and potentially hungry episode for you. That's right. We're going to be talking about food and nutrition. So if you're not hungry, you don't have your coffee, you will be, and you should get your coffee right now because we're going to be talking about everything that's happening in the food space and also the nutrition space from an investor and an entrepreneur perspective. We've got great co-hosts who are joining us today that are both investors, entrepreneurs, and limited partners or LPs in funds focused on this industry. And we're here to talk to you about that. Big thank you to the LATOKEN team and to Maria for making today's episode possible. Jumping right in. Wendy Diamond, welcome back to the show. A little intro, a little background.
Well, thank you so much. Woo! Hello from Arizona. I'm Wendy Diamond. I am a vegetarian my whole life, since 7 years old, made that big decision. And all about how do we eat healthy because, we are what we eat, right? And so I'm an angel investor in about 18 different impact companies focused on women-led and impact. I'm also a limited partner in 4 funds, 3 of which are in the Bitcoin, crypto, disruptive technology space. And also I just joined and invested in a fund called Earth First Food Ventures that are focused on cell agriculture, plant-based, and excited to make an impact and be on the show today. Thank you, Kyle and Maria, and everybody here. Woo-hoo!
Oh my goodness. We need to hear more about the cell base. So we're going to talk about that here in a second. And also, hi, Francis. We see that you're good evening to you as well from the Philippines. Very exciting. Tell us where you're tuning in from today. We'd love to hear more from you. Keith, next intro background.
Yeah, great. Been in venture for 20 years and then formed a new kind of hybrid approach to private equity, applying the venture toolkit into the lower end of the private equity markets just in the last year, called UpperStage Capital. But my passion for investing in the food and ag space really began with BASF when I became president of their venture capital activities, opening up their office in Silicon Valley. And I found myself on the board of Advanced Bionutrition and Arcadia Biosciences and Siona, which was doing personalized nutrition based on DNA. Your personal DNA. So I had to learn a lot about the space, and I became very enthusiastic about the opportunities to make a huge difference, to address problems that I was ignorant of up until that point, and the ability to make a lot of money while making a positive difference in the world. And since then, I've continued my enthusiasm as general partner of Pangea Ventures. I led our investments into Vestaron, into New Leaf Symbiotics, and then Hazel, which I'll talk about today.
Yes, Hazel. We need to hear more about that. You teased it last week. We need to hear more about what you and the team are doing. Nicole, last but not least, welcome back. A little intro, a little background.
Thank you. Hello, everyone. It's great to be here today with all of you. Thanks for having me at VCTV and LATOKEN. I have sat on both sides of the table many times in this food space as well. So I've been an entrepreneur and an investor, and I wear a few different hats. One of which is I have a marketing and branding firm called Outfront Solutions. So we're working with food and plant-based medicine companies in helping them with elevating their brands. Another hat that I wear is an investor hat. I am an angel investor, and I am also a LP and partner in a couple of funds which have invested in the food space. So those funds are How Women Invest. So we're focused on female founded and led companies. So we're investing in those. I am a venture partner in Seed Milestone Fund. And so we're also looking at food investments, and also Andra Capital. And, when companies get to that late stage and they're looking at the growth and scaling in various markets or new geographies, that's when those companies come to us. So at different points in their life cycles, we're investing in food and nutrition. And I personally have a deep passion for this space. I have celiac disease, which means that it's an autoimmune disease, and it really impacts how I look at food and nutrition. And I love all the trends that are happening these days with, functional food and seeing food as medicine. And so I'm looking forward to talking about all those topics.
And excited to talk about this as well. This is a topic I've studied myself, also invested in, and continue to read about as well. I think it's fascinating how we look at food, how we consider nutrition, and now with more new food and plant-based diets, and also just a focus on these alternative foods, or again, seasonal based foods. It's just something we've always known, but it's now here and more top of our mind as we're starting to look at these cleaner, healthier eating lifestyles in some cases as well. And, Wendy, I want to kick it off with you. Talk to us about cell-based and what this industry is looking like. You're a new LP in a fund that is investing in this area. What's happening in food and nutrition that we need to be aware of, both as entrepreneurs, consumers, and investors?
Well, I think it's just, when I got into this fund, as a vegetarian, there's a lot of different aspects that we have to look at, right? Because, we can't expect the world to overnight change and be vegetarians and vegans and et cetera, right? And as I'm not a full-on vegan, right? And there's all these different levels. And so when I was looking at all the different funds in the space, and when this one came to my attention, I loved the overall aspect of what they were doing. And, I knew a lot of other family offices that were a part of this fund. So I was like, okay, let's do it. You know what I mean? And especially because, I'm also, been at the start, an angel investor in Producers Market, which is creating that whole ecosystem to connect farmers with retailers and bringing traceability, transparency, and storytelling, and have dedicated 20% of the equity to farmers themselves that are part of this platform. And as I mentioned in previous, segments, is we've got this big partnership with the government of India and 6 million farmers there, et cetera. And we will be launching our farm token, woohoo, in the next 90 days as well. That again, that has this whole ecosystem of farmers around the world. So in regards to Earth First Food Ventures, I'm not sure if everybody's seen Seaspiracy on, on Netflix, but, one of the things that Earth First Food Ventures has really gotten behind and is invested in is literally, one of these companies. When I looked at it, I was like, wow, it's called Pure Salmon. And what it is it's a state-of-the-art hydroponics vertical farming technology that is enabling land, aquaculture, and being able. So what we're doing with that and that initiative is basically bringing awareness to the healthy fish to eat, right? And enabling people to understand, the difference in this. And I think that's what's really key. And working on getting governments. And, one of the things that, we did just this week is we met with some of the leaders of the Indian government about bringing this technology to India. Right. And so, because we have to look at the world, we need to feed everybody. And there's a lot of people here. Right. And right now, it's not possible with what's available right now in the vegan, world. And so that's one of the ones that we're invested in as part of Earth First Food Ventures. Another one is literally Crate to Plate, which is a meat alternative. And so I think, looking at Beyond Burger and Impossible Burger, those are amazing for the environment, but they're not that healthy for you. Right. And, it's one of my things is like, we are what we eat. Right. And so one of the investments that we're looking at right now is one that is, a woman founder. She has created a similar one that's really more using, different alternatives that are more healthy for you to eat. So that's one of them. It's called Lekka Burger, Lekka, Lekka Burger. And so that's another one that, that we're behind on that. And then, a couple other things, as part of it, we also Plant Power. Right. And Plant Power is another company that's based in Europe. Right. And so, these are some of the investments that we're in, but cell agriculture, fermentation, and anything that's plant-based. Right. Because that's what we feel is the future. One of the things I want to bring to awareness, though, is this amazing initiative that's being funded by 88 institutional investors that literally control 13 trillion in combined assets. And what this is, it's asking 25 global food companies to diversify their protein sources. So what does that mean? That means entrepreneurs right now that are in these plant-based, companies, etc., have an opportunity as part of, it's called the FAIR Initiative. It's FAIRR, FAIR Initiative. And this is an amazing opportunity that we're going to see coming up more and more and more, that all these companies now, and you see it, right? We see McDonald's now doing Beyond Burger, right? That there's so much opportunity in that. And, another thing that I just became an advisor to is a nonprofit called GASP. And what it is it's called, it's global sustainability, that we're going to basically, what happened was the United Nations Environmental Programs Assistant Secretary General just left and has created this whole initiative now to create this impact around the world. So, what I'm personally very passionate about is bringing governments, business leaders, and civil society to collaborate. And let's find solutions to help the world, because if we can create a healthier, alternative for people, we're going to have a healthier world. And you see it clearly in a study that Harvard is actually looking at right now, that in India, where they've stopped using pesticides and fertilizers, and with these 6 million farmers in the state of Andhra Pradesh that had a high suicide rate. And when they went back to the old ancient Indian practices of manure, sugarcane, and urine, that number went down. And those people are healthy and earning more money for having all organic and traceable, transparent supply chains that we're connecting right now to Walmart. So just a lot of opportunities in this space. There's a lot of money being put into this space. We see it with Oatly, the milk alternative, et cetera, that I'm just very excited about any opportunities and open to learning about any companies that are in this space.
Speaking of Oatly, I believe they are publicly listed or going to be publicly listed as well. I can't recall if that's been finished, but that has been publicly announced as well. So that's another good example of a company that's started. Fantastic chocolate milk, by the way, or chocolate oat milk, I should say. Unreal. Taste amazing.
And the maple is ridiculous as well.
Chef's kiss. It is too good. It's too good. But we'll continue on today's discussion before we get too much down the rabbit hole of the good of oat milk. Keith, talk to us a little bit about what you're seeing. Thank you, Wendy. Anything to add on to Wendy, but just in general, what are you seeing with Hazel and in general around this industry?
Yeah, so maybe build on what Wendy was saying around the trends towards vegan and alternative proteins. Definitely seeing that as well. We are also looking at deal flow that is in that sort of Impossible Burger, Beyond Meats kind of space. Also addressing the Seaspiracy that she talked about, looking at those kind of approaches to making plant-based substitutes for fish. There's a very interesting demand for that as well. And then, a big success here in Vancouver was a company called Daya that makes vegan cheese. And most vegan cheese, if you've ever tried it, doesn't taste much like cheese. It doesn't taste like something you'd particularly want to put into your mouth. And yet there's being demand for it. Vegans want to have pizza. They want to have cheese on their salads, grilled cheese sandwiches, etc. They want that, but they want a vegan solution. So this was actually developed by the brother of a friend of mine, he developed a vegan cheese. He went to the food show in Las Vegas, and the only booth he could get was the one down the basement, way at the back, by the bathrooms in the back exit, and that was it. And someone from Whole Foods came by and tried it and said, this is actually edible vegan cheese. I actually like this. We're going to try it. And they put it into their salad bar, and they noticed that people were coming and buying, not just to put on their top of the salad, but they were dumping the whole container out into a bag and then paying the price just for that. And they thought, okay, let's actually give the people what they want. Let's put that in a package, just the diet cheese. And they began doing that. And it just took off. And from only a couple of $1 million of venture financing, the company had a $400 million exit in just a few years. spectacular. Just shows you these kinds of trends. The multiple and the IRR on that are off the charts. Absolutely fantastic. And it's because they had the right idea, they were able to implement it, and it was just the right timing. This market is taking off in a big way.
Absolutely. And Wendy and I have had that conversation about vegan cheese as well, and offline, and we'll just leave it to your comments. It's a special experience, but getting better. A lot of great companies, as you said, are working on it. It's just a very unique piece of that food pyramid to recreate as well. So Nicole, same question.
Yeah. So actually, on the topic of food discovery, because how do these companies get into play? How do these entrepreneurs find their market? So one of the companies that I've invested in, and that has taken a number of really interesting pivots out of the necessity of not only COVID, but just where the market's going, is a company called Barn Raiser. And Barn Raiser is a community and marketplace for conscious eaters. Right. And so Barn Raiser started off as a crowdfunding platform for farmers and artisan food producers. And so they would come on a la, GoFundMe or any of those marketplaces to raise money to build the products, and therefore also start to build an audience. So about $2 million has been raised for a number of different companies all across the United States. And they range from beekeepers to farmers doing CSA boxes to people doing artisan vinegars and whatnot. Then the company pivoted to being a discovery engine for all these alternative and artisan food products. And that was, really exciting. And I think over 50,000 products listed there. Now it's a marketplace. So artisan food producers can list their products on Barn Raiser and sell through that channel. And I find it really fun. I think Kyle, Wendy, and Keith, you all might find it a lot of fun too, to just kind of troll through, discover some different foods. But I think one point I wanted to bring out was that this is a female founder of this company, and it was really hard for her to raise money for it. In some ways, there were a few pivots, but she took over 150 meetings and finally got the funding that she needed to really blow out this model. But it's really an interesting time in the food space, and the models have changed dramatically. I just last week moderated a panel for Association for Corporate Growth, ACG, and their M&A West conference, and food entrepreneurs like me, Nona Lim, and a few other folks were on it, and they were talking about their pivots during the pandemic. And some of those trends being, how functional can we make these foods? Obviously the trend in plant-based is critical, but also doing things like meal kits, so that people can, create things at home. So a lot of really interesting progress and a significant amount of M&A in the food and nutrition space as well, that I'm seeing. We had a lot of very interested folks in private equity that were taking a good look at these companies at that conference.
I love it. And I was just looking up to fact check something. I recently had, we haven't mentioned it, but anything in the sweets department, I recently had some chocolate that was sugar-free because it was made with vegetables, and I thought it was beets, but I'm trying to fact check that. It was phenomenal. I'll figure that out as we come to close here. But Wendy, go ahead, Keith.
Oh, beets are not sugar-free.
I know, that's why I'm like trying to fact.
With sugar.
Normally I wouldn't, we're live. Normally I would hold that into my own brain and try to fact, but we're having a good conversation. It's all about food today, so we bring up good things like beets that are tasty. Another Chef kiss. Okay, with that being said, let's go around for closing thoughts and where you can be found. Closing thought today, advice for entrepreneurs looking to build and get into the food and nutrition industries. It is a little tough, as Nicole just mentioned. Also, Keith and Wendy talked about some of the struggles that some of their companies have seen as well. So, for each of you, advice. Wendy Diamond started us off, and where can you be found online?
Okay, first of all, Chloe, you could get her like popsicles and they're so good. And like she's all of a sudden. So if you look for Chloe in your grocery stores or whatever, it is so amazing and it's vegan. And I'll tell you something, it's the greatest dessert. And I have a whole ton of them in my freezer. But so, you know, my advice, there's no better time to be an entrepreneur. There are so many incubators and all the food companies from Unilever to Nestle. They all are now investing. Also big public companies like marketing companies like IPG, they have RJA Ventures where they're connecting their clients with entrepreneurs and actually investing in these companies. So there's so many opportunities for, you know, anyone who's starting a new business, and that there's a lot of organizations, especially in the vegan space, that are like ready to help. So I think, you know, right now my advice is do your research. And then all you have to do is Google it and you'll find a million things that you can find. And I'm always interested in anything, especially women founders. It's just my sweet spot. 1% right now. It was 1% in 2013, and we're kind of back there with the pandemic and everything. But 1% of funding goes towards women founders. So I'm very interested in that space, and definitely impact and how can we support farmers and how can we create more alternatives for vegetarians and vegans, right? That are healthier, not just for the environment, but for us ourselves. And so you can find me at wendydiamond.com. You can see all my investments and all the funds that I'm in, and you can contact me there, or just, you know, Google Wendy Diamond. You can see all my social media. Thank you so much.
Perfect. Thank you, Keith.
Yeah, you can follow me on LinkedIn or on Clubhouse, where I'm pretty active, and I host a regular club, Canadian Venture Capital and Private Equity, every Wednesday at noon Eastern time. And of course, I'm regularly on these programs too, which I love, and we cover different topics every day. My final thoughts here are, you know, those trends. I didn't get to talk about Hazel, but the supply chain challenges around food waste are enormous. Hazel is extremely exciting and has just raised a $70 million Series C led by Temasek to help address that. I led Series B on that company. So I'm really, really excited to see these additional resources put to addressing the needs of the food waste challenge. If food waste was a country, it would be the #3 carbon emitter in the world. So it's an enormous issue. 30% of all food is wasted before you even would see it at the supermarket. It's lost in the supply chain. So let's address that. But again, just restating the theme of today, this trend in vegan and alternative proteins is unstoppable. It's a very exciting place to play.
Yes, it is. Nicole, close us out.
Yeah, great. First, a little bit of advice and then how to find me. My advice is when you're seeking investment, find super passionate investors who share your great love and passion for your food category, your nutrition, your wellness. Entrepreneurs like Wendy and Keith, investors like Wendy and Keith have specific areas where they're interested, and I do as well. Anything related to, discovery and marketing engines for these food-based companies, and also anything related to celiac disease, right? And female founders. So do your research, find investors who have a deep passion for your product area, because food is universal and we love it, and you want these strategic investors to really stand forward for your business and offer everything, their expertise and network and whatnot. And so if you find those strategic investors who are super passionate about your area, you'll go the distance with them. Best ways to find me are on LinkedIn, and I am on there quite frequently every day, as well as Twitter. I'm Techie Cat, and across many different handles, I am Techie Cat. I'm also on Clubhouse. So thanks for having me.
Thank you as well. And I did find the chocolate. It's called Choco Love XO. No sugar added. Anyways, I'll come back to that, but there was my fun fact check that I had to do on myself. With that being said, everyone, thank you so much for your time today and talking about the future of food and nutrition. To our audience, thank you so much for tuning in. If you like what you heard, click subscribe, share, like today's episode, and also check out the archive on LATOKEN.com to hear from today's speakers and all speakers of the VCTV family. And as each of our investors mentioned, we'd love to hear from you. So please reach out to every one of us on our respected sites and social media and connection points. But remember to add context where you heard us, where you met us, and what you would like to continue the conversation about. With that, everyone have a wonderful day. And again, thank you to the LATOKEN team and to Maria for making today's episode possible. Wendy, Keith, Nicole, enjoy yourselves. Audience, everyone have a wonderful day. We'll see you soon.
Thank you.
Bye.
Right.
Be well.
Cheers.